Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to SBA Prepping and Survival. Yeah, I know it's been a while. How y'all are? This is Joe. I'm out here at the barn at St. Bernard Acres. This is April 11th. What's going on, folks? We're going to talk about some prepping. You know, I kind of look at this channel as my group. This is a community. We're a group of preppers who want to help each other, learn from each other, teach each other, share ideas, and share thoughts. That's what this channel is geared towards. And I also have a Facebook group, SBA Prepping and Survival, that you're welcome to join. We're going to be building that up and sharing ideas and sharing videos and sharing thoughts and answering questions. What'll make this channel successful is the communication between everybody, the comment section. Ask questions because somebody in here will know the answer. This is not a channel so much where I think I can teach you how to be a prepper. Right? Everybody's situation is unique and different. We're here to encourage you to be a prepper. Because I'm telling you what, if you have not started right now, you are getting a very late start. You look at the condition of the world, you look at what we're going through right now, and it's scary. Plain and simple. Get started. Today, I want to talk about 9 ideas, 9 subjects that we can talk about. There are hundreds of others, but I thought we'd start out with a few. If you were in a position in the cities where you had to shelter in place, or bug in, if you will, and the power grid goes down. That's the scenario I want to talk about. What you can do. My preps, I'm very lucky. I have St. Bernard Acres. I live in the city, but 65 miles away is St. Bernard Acres. So I plan on coming out here if something happens, if I can get out here quick enough. Now, 65 miles is not a long distance. Unless you're fat and old, then it's a whole lot longer. It would take me 10 days to walk out here probably if I had to, considering the terrain and having to stay off the freeways and highways and everything. So I have about 90 days worth of preps and supplies in Wheeling at the house. We could go about 3 months, and I think that should be everybody's goal, is to go about 3 months, because if the grid goes down, you know, you eventually things will come back. Some semblance of whatever new normalcy there's going to be will be happening. And within 3 months, the scourge of society, the marauders, if you will, the violent ones, they're all going to be dead. They're going to be gone. So you have to think past that. This is not going to be where we got to fight zombies for the next 10 years. That's not going to happen. I want to be practical about what we talk about, not a fantasy thing. It's in all the news and everything. They're now talking about power grids and the fact that, how vulnerable our power grids are, because we have multiple power grids. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. One day, the power's out. Now, back in the day, we used to think of that, in the first day or so, that was like a snow day. We didn't have any problems, We didn't worry about grids going down and things like that. So in today's world and in today's environment, right, If the grid goes down, if the national power grids go down, then the cell phones will still work for a few hours. The batteries in the cell phone towers, most of them will run 4 to 24 hours. So when the power goes down, you're going to be calling your friends, you're going to be calling family members. Hey, power's out, was your power out? Well, yeah. It won't take long until people realize it is a national emergency, right? And it immediately, panic will set in. It's not like you're going to know the power grid went down before other people know about it. They're all going to know, they're all going to go quickly. And I think the first 72 hours, 96 hours, those are going to be the most dangerous times you've got to get through in order to have a chance to make it on for, a couple, 3 more months. So there are a few things that I would like to discuss that you should think about. And this is some ideas that you can do that you can get prepared for. Day 3 and day 4 are going to be the most dangerous days for you to be outside on the streets. You do not want to leave your shelter during days 3 and days 4. Those are going to be, I predict those would be the worst days. Starvation is going to be a real problem, in a couple of weeks, but a lot's going to be thinned out by then. But whatever, do not leave your home unless your home or location has become compromised. Right? That would be the only reason I would suggest ever going outside, especially before the first 42 or 4 days, 96 hours. Never go outside. You shouldn't have to. Now, one thing to think about is water. We're talking as soon as you realize the power grid is out nationwide, that's not coming back on in a few hours. So you have to start thinking. And the most critical thing you can have in your preps is water. You gotta have water. Plain and simple. So, as soon as you realize what's going on, realize too that in your water heater is 40 to 80 gallons of water. That's potable water. That's clean. You can use that. Fill up your bathtub. I don't have 30 gallons, 40 gallons of water there. You can have an extra 100 gallons of water. Do it quickly. And then find out where the water comes into your home at and make sure you turn that off, because the water department's not going to be working. The water treatment plants are going to shut down. The pumps are going to shut down. Sewage is going to shut down. You don't want any of the bad water to backflush to your house. So just shut off where the water comes in at. When the city is starving, your best friend is going to be silence and darkness. Right? Black out all of your windows. Just have those contractor garbage bags and tape them over all of your windows so that you don't have any light shining through. Right? If you're looking down a street and you see a house with the light on, you're going to think those people must have something, or they're prepared for this. Or if they go to an apartment complex and there's one apartment with the lights on, right? You don't want to become that target. And that is going to make you a target. For those first couple of weeks, try to get foods that you don't have to cook. You can heat water to rehydrate freeze-dried foods. Right? Think about that kind of stuff. A can of soup that you could heat up. Right? That's not going to dissipate the odor all over the place like cooking a steak would do, or outside grilling. Right? the smell of food cooking will make you a target. So think about those propane stoves are great. They're $20 available anywhere. And a case of propane cartridges, that'll last you a couple months. You know, you have to stay invisible. If it comes to the point that you have to venture out to scavenge or something like that, don't wear camouflage clothes. Don't have your AR slung over your shoulder. Don't have body armor. You're going to look like a prepper. You don't want to do that. If you have to go out and scavenge, then wear dirty clothes. Look ragged. Look hungry. Become the gray man. You just want to blend in like everybody else. If you happen to find something, have a discreet way of carrying it and go back to your home. Don't try to be Rambo. It's not going to work. Once the power is out, and like I said earlier, the water department is shut down, there's no water treatment, the toilets are not going to flush. Nobody's going to there's going to be raw sewage, right? I think cholera and dysentery is going to kill more people than the violence, especially after the first couple of weeks when, those who haven't starved to death are going to die from the sickness. Have some of those heavy-duty contractor garbage bags and double bag your waste and put it somewhere isolated away from your food and your water. You don't want to start sticking bags outside because people are going to see that and know that somebody's in there, eating because they're going to the bathroom. Just find a spot that you can put it discreetly and get it away from your food and from your water. Again, sickness is going to kill a lot of people who aren't prepared. Another thing that's going to happen when the power goes out, all of your digital money is going to be no good. Your ATM card's not going to work. The ATMs aren't going to work. The banks aren't going to work. Your credit cards aren't going to work. Your Apple Card or Apple Cash, Google Pay, none of that's going to work anymore. Have a stash of cash. Small bills, right? Because let's say you find somebody that had, after the first couple of 3 weeks have passed, and now you got the ones who want to barter and who want to sell stuff. They've got overstocks of shit because they thought to barter, right? My theory is if you're prepping to barter, you're not prepping. I'm not prepping to trade for anything I'm going to need. I am going to cover everything that I need, right? And if I want to barter with people, that puts myself and my situation in danger because it lets people know what I have and where I have it. So I don't believe in bartering, but people are going to be doing that. They might sell a bottle of water for $10. You might need it. They're not going to give you change for $100. Right? Have small bills. Stash some cash, just in case. Antibiotics over ammunition. You're not going to be in gun battles. You're not going to be Rambo. You don't need 100,000 rounds of ammunition. It's not going to reach that point. Right? You're in your apartment or in your home alone. You are not going to fight off a group of armed marauders. It's not going to happen. And I don't think it's going to come to that. If you can stay stealthy and don't give away everything, don't give away your location if you can help it. Again, no lights. Not till after that first 3 or 4 weeks, then everything is thinned out, and less dangerous. First aid is primary. It's like water and food. You got to have first aid. There aren't going to be any hospitals. There's going to be no ambulance you can call. A simple cut can get infected and kill you. Right? There are places now and places online that you can buy multi-spectrum antibiotics. I think that's what it's called. There are places, I have them, you can get 5 different antibiotics and they give you a list of what they are used for. For cuts, for toothaches, for different infections, different antibiotics, broad spectrum antibiotics. But get a supply of those. Get tourniquets, get bandages, get a first aid kit, because there is going to be no hospitals, no drugstore to go to. Right? If you have medication, try to get as much of it as you can that you can sparsely use if possible. Some things you're just not going to be able to, and there's no helping that. But think about the cuts and the scrapes. Get some antibiotics, get some bandages, have tourniquets and all that. Learn how to be a first aid person. Communication after the cell towers have closed. Maybe you've got friends in the area. They got walkie-talkies now that go 25, 30, 50 miles. Right? A lot of people are going to have walkie-talkies. So don't be saying, hey, come on over to my house. This is my address. Don't be doing that. But you can talk to your friends if they have the walkie-talkies or the CB radios. Come up with a code, say, hey, I'm all right. End of story. I mean, you don't divulge all the information. The government is going to be broadcasting on radio. Get a hand crank radio. Right? You can get weather statements. You can get government bulletins on those. And you can crank them up to get the power. Ham radios. Have somebody in your family learn to use a ham radio and get them one. They're not expensive. But you can communicate and get news from around the world as to what's going on. So, another thing to have in your preps, right? The big thing now that they're advertising on television, and I totally disagree with how they advertise these solar generators. They're not solar generators. They don't generate anything. They store power. The solar panels will generate it and store power in the power bank. Use those sparingly in the first month or so, because you're not going to want to run a generator to charge them up. Right? People are going to hear that generator. You're not going to have to run out in your front yard and put up solar panels to try to catch the sun to charge up your power bank. People will see your solar panels out there. Don't know what's going on. So use them sparingly. After those first few weeks, like I said, all the danger is pretty much going to be gone. Then you can start using those, because you'll be able to fire up your generator and charge them up, or charge them up with the solar, however you want to do it. But you're not going to be charging up your cable TV box. You're not going to be charging up your router or your cell phones, because they're pointless. There's not going to be any good in them. The only thing you'd want to do is have maybe a couple of lights and the freezer going. The food's not going to last that long in the freezer anyway. You're not going to be able to run it. Get food that is not, you don't have to refrigerate. But think about what you're going to need. Think about how you're living right now, and you want as little disruption as possible during this emergency. But, don't lock your doors. Have a way to barricade them. Now is not the time to worry so much about aesthetics or your designer in your home, right? You need to be able to put a bar across that door that they can't, you got to barricade it. I have 6 windows in the downstairs of my house. It's a brick house. And I have, 8 windows that I have to deal with. All 8 have it's a framed sheet of 3/4 inch plywood that I can slap over those windows, lock them down, and they're not going to come through the window. I mean, they could, but by the time they got through, I would be ready. You know, if it's just the pane of glass there, then I don't stand much of a chance. But get things ready like that. You do it now, because after it happens, none of this is going to be able to be done. After this happens, forget it. You are stuck with what you have. You know something is coming. FEMA is not going to help you. The government is not going to help you. The government is going to be gone. FEMA is going to be gone. Right? You have to take care of your family on your own. That's the mindset you got to get. That's what you need to think about. I'm just giving you things to think about. Right? You got other things that you think we should talk about or that they should think about, those that are unprepared, put them in the comments. You know, I'm thinking with this channel, I might want to start doing a live stream like on Wednesday nights. So we can have these kind of discussions. I'm doing it on my Homesteading with Joe channel. But we could have strictly prepper and survival subjects discussed on this channel in a live stream if I could pull it off once a week. No guarantees yet. My schedule is very fluid. I have a very hard time sticking to a standard schedule because my work doesn't allow it. But right now, if you start buying a little bit extra food, it's never going to be cheaper than it is now. These prices are not going down. You can't wait for prices to go down. You gotta get started with this stuff, because I'm telling you, I'm afraid a lot of you are too late. It's not going to do you any good. So get started now, because it's going to happen. When the power grid goes down, society is going to collapse. The financial world is going to collapse. There's going to be nothing. Everything is dependent on the power grid. Get through those first few weeks, and it's going to get a lot easier. But my goal, like I said, is 90 days. Try to get 90 days. You know, if you can get to that, I think you're going to be really good, because things are going to open up after that. They're going to be more open. There's going to be more opportunities, you know, some semblance of whatever is going to be the new normal is going to start shaping up, in my opinion. I am not looking to survive for 10 years and all of society's wiped out except me and my little group. That's not my way of prepping. You know, it's just not going to happen. You know, I've got all my seeds and everything out here. I'm ready to plant out here this year. And I'm learning to can. Hopefully I got enough time to have a harvest and can it. But get started now. You have to do it, folks. But this is Joe out here in the barn at St. Bernard Acres. It's a wonderful day, and I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Over on Homesteading with Joe, I'm going to be doing a live stream tonight at 8 o'clock, so feel free to head on over there if you want. This is Joe with SBA Prepping and Survival. I'm out, folks.